To Wealth Wisdom Financial Live. Uh, I think we're going a little early. I'm not sure. But anyway, uh, I love doing lives because you never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to be here or what is going to happen with, I don't know, our conversation. And guess what? You guys get to interact publicly here. If you're joining live, write comments. Share this video where we're going to be on, I don't know, all the things here. But today, we love to talk about profit. We love to talk about being business owners. We love to talk about building things, especially our businesses. And today, I get to interview Dominic Rubino. I'm going to just give a little bio and then we're going to bring him in. Some people like to tinker on cars. This guy likes to tinker on businesses so they run smoothly. And he does a lot within the cabinet space. He has a podcast, Profit Toolbelt. Again, you're going to see why I like him so much because Profit Toolbelt, Profit First, those kind of things. And Cabinet Maker Profit System. So if you're a cabinet maker, I don't know who in our audience is cabinet makers, but if you are, let me know, and I might need to get a cabinet from you. Also, go listen to his podcast. And he's been a coach for a long time, doing this for, I think, a serial entrepreneur, been a business coach for over 23 years and an entrepreneur for over 25 years. So I think he's got me beat in that regard. I'm not going to say he's older or anything like that, but anyway, I'm going to go on and introduce him further. He can add more to his bio. But hey, Dominic,
Hey,
welcome to the
Brandon.
show.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope you like that little bio. I did not go reading everything. You do fly fisherman. That's fun. I've never done that. We grew up in
Oh, yeah.
Chicago. Like literally, we don't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think one of your rivers out there caught fire, if I'm not mistaken. Was that
In
it?
Chicago, probably.
Or
I
was
don't
that
know.
maybe that was Cincinnati? I don't know.
I'm
Yeah.
now in Cincinnati now, and I do a lot of outdoorsy type things. I, I I will tell you. So fly fisherman was something I was like that sounds cool, but then getting and grabbing the fish and that seems a little gross.
Ah,
Um, and I had a friend that used to build. He actually built chairs for the Smithsonian. They were cowhide chairs.
wow. Okay.
So he cowhided, and this was as a kid. So he cowhided furniture for the Smithsonian. So I was
Okay.
like,
So
cool.
museum quality.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to learn how to cowhide furniture. So I was like, that sounds really cool. And then I saw him take the cow, hang it up, and try and take all the stuff on the other side, the guts.
Yeah.
Uh,
The gristle. Yeah. The fat, the
something.
sinews, the tendons, the little bit of meat.
Yeah, I decided I'm never gonna cowhide furniture
Well,
after
you can buy
that
finished
experience.
cowhide, so
Oh
you don't have
well,
to limit
yeah,
yourself. You
yeah,
can.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Um, anyway, that's beside the point. I'm never gonna be a cowhide furniture builder, but you may have people in your audience that are.
My audience is incredible. So, I mean, first, it's cabinet makers and architectural mill workers. Architectural mill workers do restaurants. You used to have a coffee shop, so that might be an architectural mill worker would do that. And then I've
Yeah.
got lots of people who listen that are also in the closet world. The closet industry is massive. But I have a second podcast, which is for other sub trades. So I'm pretty busy in the podcast world because I'm in the construction trades.
Nice. And I bet you're seeing a lot of things happening as far as cost of labor, like the past few years that have
Oh,
gone up,
finding
cost
labor.
of
Yeah.
finding labor, cost of goods, things getting stuck on ships or who knows what.
Oh, supply problems.
Um,
They've
yeah,
supply problems have changed. It seems to be easier, or we figured out what to do about supply problems, but it's always a thing.
yeah,
We don't
yeah,
have as much replacement or substitution as we did during the pandemic, but Yeah, it's an ongoing. There's a lot of moving parts in construction and contracting, and people look at it and think you end up in construction, but construction is a beautiful industry. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling. You make great money.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You said you make great money, and this is going to lead into what we're going to talk about today. So I know a lot of people who are in construction. This is real estate investors that listen to this and
Sure.
all of that. And what happens is they make great money, but they don't keep it, or they make great money, but they have to pay all of their contractors and subcontractors, and they're like, where'd all the money go? And so today we're talking about something really important. Again, it is a profit first kind of idea, and we're talking about 8 profit leaks.
Yeah.
So you've thought about this, and I bet you're already thinking some of those leaks that we see. But yeah, what are some
Yeah.
of those 8 profit leaks that we are experiencing?
Yeah. So I'm glad you did that intro to the subject because we all have 8 profit leaks in our business. Now I'm going to talk about them from the construction viewpoint. But if you have a dentist listening, that
Hmm.
dentist will be able to see the profit leaks in their business. If you've got somebody who runs a retailer and another coffee shop, let's say, these
Yeah,
profit leaks exist in all business, but I'll talk about them through the lens of construction and contracting. Because we can, once we identify them, we can find them and then we can fix them. And so there
nice.
are 8. And the good news is there's 8. And the bad news is there's always 8. It doesn't matter if you're doing $250,000 a year, $2.5 million a year, or $2.5 billion a year. There's
Yeah.
always these profit leaks.
I go back and think too, whenever I think about Jeff Bezos and all of this, they all have they kind of have a financial plan or something. They understand where things are going. They don't just say, "Oh yeah, I'm making too much money. It's all right," but they're
They don't say
still
that. Yeah.
analyzing. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, maybe it's an extra zero, but they have teams around them. So saying you don't just wait and say, "Hmm, now it's solved." Um, but you're saying 8 profit leaks always exist within the big
Yep.
businesses and the small businesses.
Always going to exist. One of my mentors, I'm a professional business coach and I've been a business coach for a long, you mentioned in my bio, 23 years now, but I still have mentors. I still have people that I study because I need to keep the saw sharp, as they say. And one of my mentors said something that's just incredible to me. He said, find the bottlenecks in your business,
Mhm.
fix the bottleneck, and then look around because you just caused another one and go find that one. That's my job as a business owner. As a business owner, I get paid from the neck up. I get paid to think. I've had you as a guest on my show, the Cabinet
Yeah,
Maker Profit System Show, and you were talking about the very same thing. In the beginning, the very first step is to set your sights, have a goal, think.
yeah,
And so once you know that there's these 8 profit leaks, you can then have a goal to, well, I should say you have 2 goals. You can either ignore them, anybody can do
yeah,
that, or you can go after them.
yeah. So what let's go in chronological, and they're probably not chronological. I bet you might hit 8 and 7 or 5, but what's the first one?
Sure. So actually, you bring up a really good point. They're not in chronological order. I don't know, everybody, is your audience business owners?
Yep, lots of business owners, lots of real
Perfect.
estate people,
Yeah.
or they're just wanting to start out, right?
Perfect. Yeah. So let me start with this little item. When there's a whole group of people who need to vote on something, everybody casts one vote. But there's
Mhm.
somebody in that room and their vote weighs more than everybody else. It's heavier. It's the same thing with these 8 profit leaks. I can't tell you, like you wouldn't be able to tell me what's my
Mhm.
most important one. But as I go through the list, people will know their most burning one. That's the first bottleneck. Go fix it. Go look for the next one. So the first one is you have low or inconsistent sales. Now that sounds so simplistic, but if you don't have consistency in your sales and consistency of the right sales, consistent profitable sales, then you're always going to be chasing your tail. So at least one of your profit leaks is in the part of your company that sells, whether it's
Yeah.
estimating, selling, bidding, quoting, etc.
So lower inconsistent sales,
Yep.
or being able to increase that. I was going to add number one,
Sure.
but again, I'm not going to add the numbers because who knows where they're at.
That one to people might say, in construction and contracting right now, people are listening going, Dom, you don't know my business. We are
Yeah.
so crazy busy. Sales isn't the problem. And I would stop and I would say, well, hang on a second, my good friend. Do you have the right sales to the right
Mhm.
customer at the right profit level?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they
Because you could
profitable jobs?
have bigger sales and less headache. If you have thousands of sales, and it's the 80/20 rule. 80% of people cause most of the problems, kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, then you're like, I'm making all these $40 sales and not the 140 or $240 sales.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so lower and consistent sales. Also, guys, I think if you're doing business at Christmas time, right? You might have really big sales October through December, but you have to realize that January is coming,
And what
and
are you
it's
going to
going to.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I work on the quarter system to be able to say, okay, how's it? How are we going? To
Yeah.
be able to overcome that. So lower inconsistent sales,
Yeah.
increase them.
Low. Yeah. So low sales or inconsistent sales. It's either or. You have low sales or you have inconsistent sales.
Oh
The
yeah,
second,
there you go. I mean, I'm
yeah,
gonna
the
put this in
second
there.
one is if you have high costs.
Yeah.
And it's the darndest thing, but it sounds so simple. You're like, oh, okay, this Dominic Rubino guy is a bit of a dummy. He's telling me my costs are too high. Let me ask you to go look through your wallet. And in your wallet, you have a gym membership.
Hmm.
When was the last time you went to the gym? And so when I say we have high costs, let's take that and blow it up inside your business. When was the last time you went back and you checked all of your overheads, all of your expenses? And you find the darndest things. And, Brendan, you probably found the same things. You go in there, you're like, we got rid of that cell phone 3 years ago. We're still paying for that.
Right.
Right. And it seems small and insignificant, but that $53 a month is supposed to go in your pocket, not T-Mobile or whoever your carrier is.
Yeah.
And so go look. If you think one of the leaks we have in our business is we're paying for stuff that we don't need to pay. And a very common one, and I understand you've had multiple businesses before, the supplier says, we're going to sell you this, it's going to show up in the truck. It's going to cost you $32 for the container. And it shows up and it's $42. And you just let it go. You forget about it. You didn't check back. And now you just paid $10 extra for those supplies. That's money oozing. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. And we have to go
Yeah.
fix those cuts.
I look at that too as like with Mike McCallowitz, he says do an expense challenge. Every year we will do an expense challenge and go through and say, do I need it? What was this that I got? Because, business owners, entrepreneurs, we love shiny objects. We'll buy stuff, we'll forget, we'll get on the plan, and then we forgot why. And I also have a expensive gym membership. I was just literally talking about it, which is
No.
great. But what do they offer for me? I have free childcare whenever I have this membership, and I'm like, is that cost benefit? Is it
Right.
worth it? And people who go to the gym, this annoys me a lot when they have a gym membership and they don't go. I'm like, man, we're going to be there at least 3 to 5 times a week.
I'm going to
'Cause I'm
make my
paying
money
for
on
it.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, there's one other thing on high costs, and I think all of us can relate. This problem didn't exist 5 years ago. It maybe didn't exist for you 3 years ago, but go look at how many online subscriptions you have.
Mhm.
Online subscriptions to some SEO thing or some video creation tool that you bought and thought, I'm going to use that. And it's only $9.99 a month. And if you just go and list all of those things, let's say you had $200 a month in unused subscriptions. Well, that's $200 a month times 12. Brandon, you could do the math on that, right? That's 2,400
Yeah.
bucks.
A lot of money. Yeah.
But what could you do with your family?
Yeah.
Could your family take that vacation for 2,400, or could you upgrade your Disney tickets for that 2,400? The money's there.
Yep.
It's yours, but right now it's a profit leak. It's just leaking out. And again, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. Awesome. So high cost. Let's cut those things if we need.
Yeah.
Again, don't cut it just because we don't want to go on a cutting spree. Make sure
Yeah.
you're doing the right things, but don't pay for things you don't need.
Right. Then the next one is we have wasted efforts. And this one probably is the leading cause of hair loss amongst business owners. When they walk into their office or their shop or their manufacturing floor or the job site, or whatever company you're running, you see wasted efforts. And
Hmm.
you're grumbling to yourself under your breath, how come nobody's working? Why aren't they working faster? Well, cool your jets for a second. Let's break that down. Look for defects or quality problems. Look for overproduction. Like, are you overbuilding something? Are you overproducing something? Look for areas where you're waiting, like somebody's producing something and other people are waiting for it. So there's a bottleneck in operations. And you know these in your stomach, in your gut, right?
Yeah.
Unused potential. So you've got machinery that's not being used to its full potential. You got people not used to their full potential. Space, not, all of those things. Transportation, like moving things too much or moving people too much or people walking too far. You had a coffee
Yeah.
shop before. How important was it to have the barista centered at the coffee at the machine so everything could be done within maybe a step to the left or right?
Oh, again, you have a cabinet making podcast. When we were designing the cabinet, we
Yeah,
were thinking about that. And if anything,
yeah.
what I learned is I needed to have more space for them to move, or two people, right? I was like, oh, hindsight's 2020. But
Oh, you had it too
um,
tight. They were too
too
boxed
too
in.
too tight, too boxed
Yeah,
in, and I think that's something that we need to know. And as you build the business,
yeah,
how do we make it streamlined?
yeah. I had a foreman in a very large architectural mill workshop. So think about the kind of company that makes law firms or the offices for a really high-end video game office, like really artsy, funky stuff.
Hmm.
And his mantra with all of his guys, and they had a large crew of people making very intricate woodwork, was buck and a half. Every step you take costs this company a buck and a half. And he finally had said it so much that his guys made him a t-shirt that showed an image of a buck, like a white-tailed deer, and then half an image of a buck. And it was done like a dollar and cent sign. And it was buck and a half. And they had t-shirts made for everybody and handed out. And I was talking to the foreman after, and I said, you did it. You got to the point where you said it so much, your people understood it, and now they're making fun of it. But it's part of the
Yeah.
culture of the company because every step is a buck and a half.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I bet you that's gonna happen to us one day. Somebody's gonna make a T-shirt
Somebody.
out of all
Yeah.
the stupid stuff I say, or my son will. Um, I'm waiting for that one. All right, let's go. I put in a comment here. If you guys are watching live, I know some people come in and out. Yeah, put a comment here. We might go off and answer your question. Who knows where we'll go? So
Yeah.
next one. We're at number. I don't know what number we're at. 4, 5,
We're going to do
3.
number 4 right now. Number 4 is we have bad estimating, or we have an estimating problem. And sometimes people don't know they have an estimating problem. I've got a download that people get from me. It's called the 1 hour calculator or the go back report. And what it does is it helps people in my audience price jobs for profit with confidence, which is how you and I met, because you're a profit first
Yeah.
expert. And that's why, you've been on my show, I'm on your show, because we both talk about really the same things through slightly different lenses. But if you have bad estimating, if you're estimating jobs at the
Hmm.
beginning, you're making potential mistakes. Those mistakes are like ordering a pizza with green onions. It's going to repeat on you later, right?
Yeah.
Or green, is it green onions or green peppers? Probably green peppers is what I mean, right? You eat those green peppers and you're like, oh, they're delicious, but I'm going to burp later. So bad estimating echoes throughout the whole company, and you can't get ahead of bad estimating because you
Yeah.
put a price out in the world that you now have to honor, and you're not going to make your money back. So go check your estimating assumptions.
I see that a lot in people are in the flipping world, right? They're like, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and they
You have to learn, right?
forgot. Yeah, oh yeah, I got to pay for the
Dumping. I got
cabinet
to pay
cost.
for disposal, or
Yeah,
we priced out cabinets, but we didn't do countertops. We priced out painting, but we didn't include primer or mudding and taping. Yeah, and
yeah,
sometimes you have to learn through mistakes, but please learn. Don't just
yeah,
keep making the same mistakes again and again. So estimating is a big one, and learning your estimating, getting really good at your estimating is a powerful way to grow your business. But can I
Oh,
imagine that I'm reading people's minds right now?
yeah, yeah, go for it. They want to hear you. They want you to read their mind. Okay.
So somebody out there right now is saying, but Dom, you don't understand my customers. They're always beating me up on price. I've got to estimate tight. There's so much competition. I'm competing against every single person out there. And then I will say, you actually have a problem with lower inconsistent sales. You have a
Yeah.
marketing problem. You don't have an estimating problem. So if you've
Yeah.
got customers who are giving you a lot of kickback on price, go find some, a different customer, a better customer for you.
Yeah. I go and think about that in client base and in general. Like, some people will buy uh, $100 for food, right, for a meal,
Hmm.
uh, and other people are like, "That's too much," right? And it all is perspective, you know,
Yeah.
who you're serving and all of that stuff. Because there's people who buy like cars, for example. I'm like, how much do you spend for a car? 300,000? That's crazy. But that's people buy it somehow, somewhere.
Yeah. Or they lease
Um,
it.
yeah, or something. I don't know,
Somehow
but
they get that car. Yeah. Do they need that
yeah,
car? Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways,
I'm
that's bad
watching.
estimating.
Yeah, I'm watching Suits, so I see like
Oh.
some of the. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what the next one is, Brandon? Is we have a collections problem. We have an accounts receivable problem. And that is a profit leak for sure, because you've suddenly turned yourself into a bank.
Hmm.
If you're not collecting your money quickly, or at least in a reasonable, if I have an agreement with you that you're going to pay in
Yeah.
120 days, then we've already agreed on that, and that's reasonable. But if we had an agreement that you were going to pay in 30, then that's not reasonable for me to wait 120. You're treating me like a bank.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to jump way ahead of myself here. And if somebody out there listening has a collections problem or an accounts receivable problem, I would bet dollars to donuts they actually have a marketing problem,
Why
because
is that?
they're going to say to me, Dom, you know how we get all of our customers through word of mouth and referrals? I'll say, well, that's fantastic. And then they'll say, but my customers are lousy. I say, well, hold on a second. You've got bad customers who slow pay or no pay, and then they refer you to their friends and family. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they slow pay or no pay. Well, yeah, but we're super busy. Maybe saying it out loud will help them understand. If you have an accounts receivable problem, we can dig back far enough that I would be able to find your root cause is most likely a marketing problem. You're selling to the wrong customer. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't solve your accounts receivable problem today. How to solve the accounts? I should be asking you, Brandon. If somebody owes us money, what do we do?
I would pay in advance if you
Mm,
can,
yeah, get
right?
paid in
So,
advance. Yeah.
yeah, or at least half down. See this in the world of, well, again, I had the coffee shop, and we're gonna do catering, and they're
Mm,
like, "Oh yeah, well I'll pay you on the day up." Well, in order to get that catering deal, then guess what? I got to buy all the stuff,
yeah.
and then they cancel, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, but I want my money back." Well, all those kind of
I
things.
already bought the muffins. Yeah.
Yeah, I already bought
Yeah.
the muffins and all the stuff, and so having that in place and having a service level agreement already set in place
Yeah.
before you go out and sell.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said service level agreement. So there has to be some agreement between me and, let's say you're the customer who hasn't or is paying late.
Mhm.
So I've delivered all of what I was supposed to deliver, quality, on time, good experience. Let's put all those things as an even playing field. And then we have to have an agreement between us that lays out the expectations for payment. Let's say all of those
Mm.
things are in place. My favorite method for collecting money is polite persistence. I
Yeah,
have to deal with problems first, fast, and upfront. Because if I don't deal with the problems of the world, they're going to come back and bite me in the you know what. And so all I've got to do is call, like, Brandon, how you doing? Good. Hey, I'm just calling to see when I can expect the payment. Ask. You've already provided the service. There should be no shame in asking for your money. The other person should be the one who's sweating bullets, not you.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave that alone. But there's a lot of training that I do around that when people have that issue. And my goal as a business turnaround expert is let's go fix the marketing problem so we don't have an accounts receivable problem later.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, let's go to the next one here.
All right, the next one is we don't have budgets that we believe in.
Uh-oh. You said the B word.
Oh, did I?
Um,
Which B word did I say? Budget?
Budgets.
We don't have
Oh
budgies we
man.
believe in.
Oh
Uh,
man.
yeah,
You
no, that's.
swearing. You're swearing here.
I said budgies.
And
Oh,
oh,
is budget a bad word?
I don't know. People always, people are afraid sometimes of budget. I mean, you're going to restrict me. So why is a budget
You know,
helpful?
because here's why I can tell you why budget's helpful, but I can tell you why budgets are a problem. It's because it's exactly like trying to fix the transmission on your own car. I know where it is. I could probably unbolt the thing. I might even be able to get it open, but when I look inside, I don't understand what the heck is going on. Right.
Yeah.
And so with budgets, you might say, but Dom, I don't know what I'm going to do next year. How can you expect me to have a budget? I'm not Starbucks, right? I'm not Amazon. Well, they weren't at one point either. But what they did is the same thing you and I would do is we'd say, look, this year we spent, I'm just going to use a simple number, $10,000 on adhesives, glues and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next year, if we do the same amount of sales, we're going to spend $10,000 on adhesives. You, my friend, now have an adhesives budget for your company. If you know how much you spent on courier last year and your business is not going to grow, you already know how much you're going to spend on couriers. So you now have a courier budget for the year. Once I have a budget and I write it down in my book, I control that number. Because you know what happens as soon as you look at it? You say, well, last year we spent $3,000 on courier fees. I wonder if we could spend $2,800 on courier fees. How could I reduce it by 10% or 2%? And you now have a budget that you can control.
Well, and then I think about probably payroll, other areas as you want to grow. It's about having a plan to grow and develop, right? Maybe it's if you saved 2,000 on costs, you might be able to reallocate it to the marketing of better clients that can grow the whole system.
Yeah. Put it in a different place, right? Something that makes more sense for you.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the next one?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
The next one actually kind of lines up with it a little bit. It's a nice segue. Is we have profit leaks because we have a bookkeeping or accounting problem. You guys can't see this, but Brandon just smiled. He just got a big smile on his face.
Yeah, right. It is. So bookkeeping or accounting problems. Why is that a leak?
If you could tighten up your bookkeeping and accounting, the impact on the company would be crazy. And by the way, maybe you've got a great bookkeeper. Mm-hmm. I've had great bookkeepers in the past, but I got frustrated for one. It's a simple reason. It sounds really silly. When I look at an Excel spreadsheet, honestly, the thing swims in front of my eyes. I have to really concentrate on it. I'm not a great math person, but I'm really good at seeing the patterns in the numbers. And so I can see the patterns when I ask my bookkeeper to give it to me as charts and graphs. And listen, I've given up being ashamed. Show me pretty colors, show me pie charts, and show me graphs going up and to the right and down to the left. And I can figure out what's going on. Then from there, let's say it's a pie chart, a circle split into quadrants, let's just say. If I see something that's not right, I can go back and look at the numbers because the patterns, I need that thing firing for me to say, that problem is flashing red on that report. I can go back and find out why. And so if you don't have budgets and you don't have bookkeeping, you've really got two profit leaks right there.
I think about that as having a team. When you have a team around you, whether it's for me, it happens to be Amanda who helps with the bookkeeping. And I can go in and say, oh, look, what is this saying? And I can look at the P&L statement, profit and loss statement, to do more of a high level point of view. But I will get so not lost. I know how to do all this stuff, but I'll find a squirrel in a second when it comes to putting in the numbers and doing budgeting. I'll find anything and everything else to do.
Yeah.
So as we build our team, you want to make sure, and this is to everybody, have a plan for your money. Don't just delegate it, but as you have a bookkeeper, accountant, a certified financial profit first person or whatever, know how to read that stuff, because there's been plenty of bookkeepers who have stolen from the business owner because the
Nobody's
business
paying
owner
attention.
didn't know how to, they weren't paying attention. Someone else,
Yeah.
they were doing, and they were like, oh yeah, well, I can just take this. That's a leak.
Can we go to that? Can we go to that dark place for a second?
I'll go for it.
About once a year, I get a call from somebody whose bookkeeper has done embezzled. And so I had a financial crimes expert come on my podcast to talk about how that happened. And it was interesting because it wasn't, he said, it's usually not premeditated. It starts when they make a mistake in the books of $100 and you don't catch it.
Yep.
And they go, oh, I better fix that. And so they go fix it. And then one day, because they have a problem in their life, gambling, maybe they got a medical issue with a family member, maybe they're on drugs, all of the things that happen to us in our regular home life get blown up. And they think, you know what, I could take out $100, but I'll put it right back.
Yeah.
And then you don't catch that one either. And 100 becomes 500, becomes 5,000, becomes 50,000. And before you know it, they have fleeced you for a lot of money. And so it is very important to watch the people who watch your money. It just is. Now, those of you who have a spouse doing it, good on you. At some point, you're going to have to ask or thank your spouse for helping and allow them to go do something else that they really like. And you're going to have to hire a bookkeeper, but it's not hard to put systems in place. It's really not, and to make sure that doesn't happen. So I don't want people to limit their growth because they're scared, but I want them to understand if there's risks, here's how to mitigate those risks.
I'll tell you another story. This happened literally to me, and I had a staff person. They weren't showing up to work a lot. They, in general, things would happen. Grandma died like 100 times, right? And I'm drinking half cups of coffee all day long, and I ended up going to the hospital for high anxiety, blood pressure. They were like, your blood pressure is too high. At the same time, as we were doing the drawer count kept coming up $20 short or $40 short, or it was just an odd thing that would happen. I'm like, this is weird. Something's happening. We were paying attention, and then all of a sudden, I knew based off of payroll when it was happening. It was lining up, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, okay, so the person who didn't show up to work, when they do show up to work, my till
we
is
lose
short.
$20 or $30. Yeah, it's not hard to triangulate that, right?
Yeah. And then they said, oh, it wasn't me. I didn't do this. And you fired me. I have kids and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have a business. And I will tell you, I have kids. Well, I didn't at the time, but,
Okay.
I was like, this is, but I got rid of the problem, the person, and my anxiety went away.
Oh, it wasn't the coffee. It was the anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was probably still some of the coffee, but but I was medicating. But I think about those kind of things of bookkeeping, and we had a system, and we were dealing a lot in cash, but we were being aware, and to be able to then say, all right, you're done, and have that hard conversation.
I'm glad you did that. I understand it's hard to do. You're a nice guy. You want to take care of people. I can tell by the smile on your face. You're a friendly person. It's hard. It's hard for me too to let somebody go. But if there's cancer in my company, I will hack that cancer and cut it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're messing with my company and everybody else who works here. You got to go.
Yeah.
You might be good on another team, but you're not good on my team. You got to go.
Yep.
And I've given up. I'm supposed to be a business coach. I'm supposed to be super understanding and correct. Like, listen, I'm a business owner who happens to be a business coach. And I'm jaded now on bad employees. If they're not going to fit my culture, they got to go.
Yeah. I think that's a big, what's it, slow to hire,
Yeah,
quick to fire kind of
that's
thing.
right. Yeah,
Um,
but it's
and then
true.
you, yeah, usually those are the same people who file for unemployment, and then I have to do all the paperwork later and say no, they were justifiably fired. Um, if you're a business owner, you know those papers.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you never have to do that. But all right, next one.
Yeah, and this is the last one here. We have this goes right back to when I was talking about bad estimating or lower inconsistent sales, low or inconsistent sales. This last one is we have the wrong customer or we're doing the wrong jobs.
Yeah,
And listen, I've, as I said, I'm a business owner. I'm not just a business coach who's read a couple books. I took one of my businesses from zero. And I'm talking zero, like it was an Excel spreadsheet, and I built it to 120 million in sales, and then I sold that company. Then I bought another company that had 6 locations, and I built it to 237 locations, and I sold that. But you know what? One of the things that we did really well in both of those companies made sure that we had the right customer. Because when we can
mm,
line up what we do with the right customer, man, things get easy.
yeah.
Things get so easy. But when we're trying to serve the wrong customer, nothing we do is right. And we're always chasing our tail. They're never happy. We're never good. So figure out what you're really good at, figure out who your perfect customer is, and go get that customer.
I think that is a huge one. In general, again, people are trying. They were like, "Oh, I just need a I need a customer."
Yeah, fog a mirror.
Uh,
Are they breathing? I'll take them.
yeah, yeah, and I think that in sales or in general, like find the ones that bring you joy, and also find in your own job what brings you joy, because sometimes we're doing jobs that we should not be doing
It yeah,
um, in the
and
first place.
it comes down so many times to a belief thing. You know, I had one guy that I was working with. He was a painter. I've been a painter in my past. I've had 2 different painting companies in my youth when it was easier to climb a ladder. Um, so this guy was a painter, and he lived in a small, really respectable little bungalow, right? A 3-bedroom bungalow in a interesting part of let's call LA.
Yeah.
But his problem was low and inconsistent sales. And he's super funny. So he'd say to me, because I said, you know, how are your sales? He goes, well, Dom, I take a lot of unplanned vacations as a painter, which means he didn't have work, right? So he'd paint a house, but then he'd have 2-3 weeks off while he was trying to find another gig.
Mm,
And so we had to turn that around. And the way we turned that around was he just pointed his truck into a different neighborhood. But he didn't believe he could paint houses in a nicer, better neighborhood because he lived in a 3-bedroom bungalow. He was selling to people in 3-bedroom bungalows. Well, those
mm,
people also had their own financial challenges, and painting their house was not high on their list. It got to the point when we moved him to a different neighborhood that he was painting really nice houses. And one of the stories he tells, I have this in a video that he did for me. He did a house that was so big, he subcontracted pressure washing the deck of their pool. And he made more subcontracting the pressure washing than he used to make profit on painting an entire house in his neighborhood. We just had to
wow.
turn his truck into a new neighborhood. Like we just had to literally point his truck to a new neighborhood and go get painting jobs there. He had to get a better customer and he had to do the best jobs.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that's again, mic drop right there. And thinking about even our real estate, like what kind of real estate we want to be, what kind of business do we want to be? Are we pointing in the right direction, or are we self-sabotaging? Right? Sometimes it's we're thinking about our own, I don't know, limiting beliefs, and we're like, I can only do 3 because that's what I am. Right?
So I
Um,
know we're trying to wrap up here, but I had a builder named Johnny. Johnny inherited some land from his father-in-law who had passed away. It was an orchard, and they subdivided it, and he became a builder. He wasn't a builder before; he became a builder, and so he built a house and he sold the house. And when we started working together, we had this conversation, coaching conversation about, do you have the wrong customer or the wrong jobs? It turned out he was building the wrong houses.
yeah,
He wasn't building for the need of the perfect buyer. He was building what he thought a house should be, not for the amount of kids and garage space, all of those little things that a buyer would come to that neighborhood to want. And so
yeah,
we aligned his building. He's just building a house. He knows how to build
yeah,
houses now. but he had to build the right kind of house that a buyer in that neighborhood expected.
Nice.
Yeah.
So where's this link that I want to share this link for the download? Where can I find that?
Oh, you know how people get this? I have the most old-fashioned method for getting stuff. Send me a text message.
Text message.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
send me a text. Say profit leaks, and then text me at 315
Let me put that
90.
in.
Sure, yeah, 315-903-7853.
I'm going to put this in there. So 315.
Yeah, 903 7853. And just say profit leaks, and then I'll know which free download to send people, because I got a couple different ones, right? We've got that go back report as well as one that people might want. But yeah, just text me 315-903-7853 and just say the keyword profit leaks. When I see that, I'll know which one to send you back, and in between meetings we'll just fire it off to you. Yeah, it's nice and simple. It's not very fancy, but it works. It gets people what they need.
And if they want to find you online, I can actually share my screen. Isn't it business strat plan? Is that right?
Well, that's my email address, biz strat plan. But the easiest way to find me online, look up my name, Dominic Rubino, or find the podcast, which is called Profit Toolbelt. That's one of the podcasts. And the other podcast is called Cabinet Maker Profit System.
Gotcha. Yeah. So guys, check them out. Look up Dominic. Let me do a screen share of his thing. I found him because the internet is amazing.
Yeah.
And let's see. I'm going to share my screen.
I like this tool, Brandon. I'm learning from you here.
This is look at that. Is that you?
Oh, that's me with a suit and tie.
What the? You really wear those things? I haven't worn
I used
one of
to. I used to.
Yeah. So if you go to look him up, right? Go to this website. Of course, do the text message thing. But if you go here, tell him that you learned from me or heard from me, or I don't know. You're probably going to find this in a year from now on YouTube or something.
Right.
But go on there and share. But I want those 8 leaks because everyone has them. We all know it. Don't pretend you don't. And if you think you've figured it out, then I don't know what to say for you. But we've not. None of us have arrived. I'm already thinking a bunch of them. So go here, watch this. He does amazing stuff. Runs 2 podcasts. I have a hard enough time running one. I don't know how you do it, but check out this. You were also did a TEDx.
I did a TED Talk. That's right. Yeah.
This is awesome. So, oh, look at that. There we go. Is it
Family
playing?
Inc.? Yeah, TED Talk.
Wow.
My daughter was getting cyberbullied, and it was very difficult in our home at the time. And when they invited me to do a TED Talk, I chose to focus on that, and I used business tools to solve this family issue. I hope people enjoy it. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks, Dominic, for being here, sharing your wisdom. And I'm excited for where things are going to go, especially way up there. I think you're in Canada, if I remember.
I'm in Canada. Most of my audience is in the United States. We've got people who listen from Europe and Australia, New Zealand. Yeah.
I mean, I could tell the accent just a little bit, don't you know?
Don't you know? Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome, guys. Thanks for being here. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share this with a friend, especially a business owner, because they have 8 profit leaks. We know that there's part of it that they can always adjust. And again, be the master of your own ship. And don't just let your customers tell you what you need to fix, but you fix it. Right? I think that's really important. So with that said, have a great time, and we will see you again next time.